Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to the Therapy Podcast, episode number 1, which might be confusing to some, long-time listeners because we often do the therapy session on the halftime with Vegeta. But I thought I'd want to add a little bit of more structure to the therapy sessions. So instead of calling them the pre-therapy, post-therapy, we're just gonna have a podcast, people, because you know over the last 2 weeks, I took a hiatus from the game. Obviously, United hasn't been doing well in the Premier League. And upon reflection, and of course, my desire to grow the channel, I thought, you know what, I need to create something that is more dependable, something that people can look forward to, not just on a weekly basis, which is what the therapy sessions used to be, but we're going to be doing this more hopefully on a daily basis. So we're going to have the therapy podcast, and I don't want to have a stream for the sake of having a stream. Obviously, I'll look at what is happening in and around United, what's relevant to us, whether it's newsworthy or not newsworthy. I will leave that up to you guys to decide. We will sift through the nonsense. We'll react to it honestly. With United, there's never a dull moment. There's always something to talk about. And there's a couple of stuff that I want to get off my chest. Maybe you also want to get off your chest. And let's have an honest conversation because that's what the halftime of Vegeta has always been about. I just want people to always have a space where they can speak honestly without being told that they're not a real fan. As long as you wear the shirt, in my opinion, and you support the club. I know some people can't afford the shirt, and I don't mean that in the literal sense, but as long as United is the club that you point to when people ask who do you support, then you're welcome. To the ups, I know that you guys are always going to be looking for United fans to laugh at. You're also welcome. It's okay. We know that you guys will be here to gaslight us, to laugh at us, to clown us. It's okay. They say that tough times never last. I am going to try and be positive in that regard. But before we get into the podcast, people, I just want to ask you guys to please do me a favor, like Brush and Mark have said in the comment sections earlier on. Please do me a favor and just like the video. This just lets people know that you enjoy the content and it brings more eyes to the channel. I am gonna be posting on a regular basis. I do have a podcast that I pre-recorded with my man Timber Banks on the Football Fan Zone. I had tried to post it last week, didn't happen. I will see if I can schedule it again ahead of the other episode of the Vegeta and Banks show. Don't be confused by it saying it is episode number 5. We've been doing it on his channel for a while. I'm just bringing some of that content here for people on my side of the world that might have not seen it. So yeah, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and let's have an honest conversation. Shout out to my man Kenny Fan TV saying, sorry, Kenny Fan TV. It's been a long day when my words are slurring. Is this an emergency therapy session? No, Kenny, it's not an emergency. I don't know how many sessions we're gonna have if it's an emergency because right now the state of the club as a whole is emergency. It's not good. It's not good. But no, no, no. This is a therapy podcast. We're here to talk. Because I feel like sometimes we're in spaces where we don't get to fully express ourselves, and we then end up saying outlandish stuff or just um yeah, going left. Hopefully another thing we can do in the future with the podcast is that we'll start, obviously interacting with you guys, having calls. And I know on a lot of channels you don't always have the benefit of expressing your thoughts completely, but we're gonna try and have a space here where maybe for a good 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the demand, people can talk, we can have honest conversations, we can ask questions. And obviously if you're now talking nonsense, we'll move on to the next person and give them their airtime. But not everybody wants to channel, so we're going to facilitate those conversations on here. A big shout out to my man Drake's always showing me support, has saved me on a couple of occasions, guys. Both Kenny and Drake's do have their own channels. I would encourage you guys to look them up on YouTube, give them a support, give them support from the halftime, drop them a like, drop them a subscription. Guys who are in the chat already, just let me know, have I been clear? It would have been such a waste of an introduction if my sound is acting up like it has been on the last few streams. Is my connection okay? Can you guys see me? I have tried to prepare ahead of time for once. But just let me know. Kenny fan already starting. We even haven't discussed our first topic, and he's saying pick the manager. Yeah. Even though I live in South Africa, I don't think I could do the accent correctly. It always depends on where you come from within the country itself. But anyway, guys, let's get into it. What are we talking about on this episode of the therapy podcast? Well, let's start with this. All right, let's start with this. Um, should we start accepting? And I say we, as in the Ten Hag. Don't believe Ten Hag out. Ten Hag, whatever you feel that isn't supporting the manager. Right? Should we, as that community, move on? And it sounds like it's an odd thing to bring up as a topic in the podcast, but in the last 2 weeks when I haven't been streaming, almost every other stream has become, no matter what the discussion is, we're going to have a section, a period where we're talking about the manager should be leaving, INEOS should be firing him, INEOS da 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 da. And I wonder, is it high time, now that the meeting's been had, now that nobody's been fired, as far as I know, at the time of this live, should we be moving on? Should we stop focusing our energies? Because the reality and the thing I've tried to explain on the odd occasion when I've jumped onto people's streamers, we might have our feelings and we've got the right to express those feelings. But at the end of the day, the people who are actually in charge of the football club. So there's Man United, the entity, but then there's Man United in the sense of the ownership. So these are the people who, irrespective of how we feel about the club, at the end of the day, have the final say because they've put, or rather, they have the money to put their money where their mouth is. I just want to say it like that because I'm sure any fan, if they had the money, would have tried to buy the club, right? I mean, I would have because I wasn't happy. I'm not happy with the Glazer ownership. Um, so do we just accept the fact that INEOS have said nothing? I haven't seen any reports. I haven't been on the streets. You guys let me know. I know a lot of people keep their ears to the ground. They're always looking. A lot of people were looking for the Sky banner, that yellow thing that says breaking news, Ten Hag is out of here. But the reality, as we sit here on a Monday evening in South Africa, or morning if you're in on the west side of the world, or perhaps it's the next day if you're sitting far away in the east side of the world, do we accept Ten Hag is here? He's going to be the manager. He's going to be training these guys because I'm assuming now with the international stuff slowing down, people are going to come back from vacation. People are going to start doing training sessions. And although it would have been ideal for people who want to see the manager leave, have the new manager join us last week so that we can already start uh, start training with the new guy, start implementing his ideas. Um, 1 second, people. Sorry about that. I had a visitor on my door. These are the things you're encountering when you're recording at home because you don't have a studio. But guys, I think let's stop this whole Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. I think for the most part, and I've been clear about this on a lot of podcasts, you aren't going to convince people on either side of the aisle. That's the other thing that's a part of this reality. A lot of the times, people on each side feel strongly not just about the manager, but they feel strongly about how the other party feels about the manager. And I think people need to accept that truth is you're not going to convince people because the reality of how you feel about Erik ten Hag will settle in at a different pace for different people. Some people say they've been Ten Hag out since last season already. So for them, the injuries weren't a good enough excuse. They just weren't seeing enough from the manager, which okay, that's fair enough to you. And basically the rest of us are catching up to what they've known all along. Cool. And then some people were a bit like a lot of voters going into an election that are undecided. They're not sure how they feel about the manager. They're not sure if they're out. They're not sure if they're in. They just love the club. And the FA Cup might have swung them, like me, that's me, by the way. The FA Cup might have swung the pendulum in the other direction to say, okay, it's been a tough season, injuries, not happy with the style of football, but we've got a cup. We've had one good season, we've had one very disastrous season, but even in our bad season, we've won something. So let's keep him. It's okay. And then the same people in this camp, we're a few games into this season because it's still October, guys. We're having Erik Ten Hag in, Erik Ten Hag out conversations, and we're only in October. Now, for people who are Erik Ten Hag out definitively, they don't like to hear the idea that it's a little bit too soon into a season to sack the manager because of the various reasons they have on their timesheet, right? Um, no style of play. The style of play is there, or it's just not effective. He's not going to be the guy. Whatever. We've heard all of them. These guys don't think it's too early. I don't think it's too early. I was out Liverpool 3-0 because to me, the 3-0 represented this is us. We might be good enough to beat a Brentford or a Barnsley, but we're never going to go toe to toe with our actual competitors in this league. And that is a shame. And that for me was what made me think if Liverpool feel comfortable, and mind you, that Liverpool team wasn't playing very well, in my opinion. When I think back, even in that moment, I was frustrated at the fact that a lot of the issues were self created. And I'm like, how long are we going to be our own enemies of disaster before we accept the fact that we need to change? But anyway, that's just me. So there's those people. So all of us are out. We've got our reasons. It might have been at different paces at different time, but we're out. But then there are people who say, but guys, hang on. He's had one good season. He's had a terrible season. He's never had a structure. Let's give him a chance. And guys, at the end of the day, when I listen to both arguments, right, there's stuff that I can accept on one side, and there's stuff that I definitely, because of the way I lean, can accept on the other side. But the reality that I'm seeing, these people aren't going to agree. I've even seen it on other platforms where you've had staunch Ten Hag people become Ten Hag out, but they needed to get there themselves. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that people need to get there themselves if they're not going to back Ten Hag. Just like with players, right? When we say, has the manager lost the dressing room? It happens at different intervals. There are times where players are going to be like, okay, this isn't working. No matter what we do, we run ourselves into the ground. This isn't working. I'm not playing for this guy anymore. Even with fans, I think it's the same way. Fans are going to get to a conclusion at different times within the manager's career at the club. But the reality that is on the screen right now, this right here, the reality is that Ten Hag is still our manager on the 14th of October, 2024. Should we not be accepting this? What good does it do you as an individual to be upset over this matter? Does it mean that you're not going to watch games, which is where I was 2 weeks ago? I said on the Football Power Hour, if they keep Ten Hag, I don't know if I can watch games between now and the end of the season. All right, that was me. But 2 weeks later, I'm a lot less angry. I don't know. I might, because how am I going to commentate on a club if I'm not watching the games? It kind of feels counterintuitive to what we're trying to do on YouTube, right? So I'm accepting the reality that INEOS made this or them not saying anything tells me that the decision, because not making a decision is also a decision at the end of the day, in my opinion. So they haven't said anything. There's been a lot of media speculation, a lot of people saying we're speaking to this manager, that manager, and the other. We've had multiple streams where we said, I want this manager, I want that manager. But until we get a club statement or any sort of news, guys, I don't know. There's only so many streams you can do on Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. And there's only so many debates you can have until you realize we need to learn to agree to disagree. That's where I'm at. I don't know how either side of the fence, some people are still on the fence, feels about this. But the one thing, no matter how crazy people's opinions have been about Ten Hag, Man United fans love their club. And whether you like it or not, at the core of everybody's feeling or decision is the success of Manchester United. Now, granted, there are crazy people on either side that say stuff that you're just like, hmm, are you sure you're supporting the right club? Because there are people who want us to keep the manager irrespective of how things go, which I'm like, look, hypothetically speaking, it's a very slim chance. But even if we find ourselves in relegation, around about, not that we're going to get relegated, but we're flirting with that line like Chelsea was not so long ago. Are we going to say that it's still fine? I mean, there are people who feel that way. Cool. And then there are people who hate Ten Hag so much that they want us to almost lose games just so that there's enough, there's not enough, because to them there's already enough evidence, but they want us to lose games so that it almost backs the ownership into a corner that they have to get rid of him. So I'm just saying, guys, we need to, hey guys, be the potato, be flexible, agree to disagree. Because your high blood pressure is not going to be done any favors stressing over the fact that another person has a different opinion from you. At the end of the day, people are individuals, and you can't force your opinion onto somebody, right? So I'm just gonna read a couple of your comments. Appreciate Kenny and Drake's obviously interacting with me in the chat. I'm gonna read some of your guys' stuff. Kenny saying, it's basically hope and pray for the results at the moment. Yeah. I mean, as a person who doesn't see how this guy turns it around, it's hope and praying. I mean, there's stuff we can say that he can do, which we will talk about. But yeah, and even when I listen to Ten Hag and people, not everyone, but it almost feels like that. It's almost as if when you've put your bets on it, on something, and you're just like, it has to work. This thing, like the idea of failure means I've got nothing else, and it almost feels that way sometimes when I speak to people who believe in the manager, but not everybody's the same. So I'm not gonna paint everybody who backs the manager with the same brush. Drake's is saying, yes, we can accept the reality, but if things get worse than it is, our reality will change. And I agree, Drake's. And I think this is the point, right? We will feel how we feel because our emotions will fluctuate game to game, form to form. So if, let's say, for instance, we have a run of 10 games, it will be very hard to find as being negative. There will be people who will be cautiously optimistic. I mean, don't get it wrong. Don't think that there aren't people who won't be swayed to the other side. That's where the idea of flip flopping comes from. And one of these days, we're going to discuss a lot of these terminologies we've come up with in football because there's a lot of people outside of football that don't get these terms that we use. So we're going to actually have an episode where we look at some of these stuff. And flip flopping literally comes from the idea that you feel one way today and you feel the other way. That's us. That's fans. That's our job. We support, and we support based on what we're seeing on the pitch, right? It means that sometimes you're gonna maybe back the manager, have a bad game, and criticize the bad game in isolation. That's fine. When I say reality, I mean that the things that are outside of our control will change. You're right. If Ten Hag keeps digging a hole for himself, that's what they call sacking yourself. And then the people who are Ten Hag in have to then accept that reality the same way the people who are Ten Hag out have to accept the reality that he's our manager. And some people are not willing. Some people are not even willing to accept the reality that Ten Hag is still the manager. They're like, no, he's not my manager. He's your manager. I'm like, guys, if you support Man United, he's your manager. The idea of saying he's not it's like saying he's not my president just because your vote didn't win. The reason why we vote is that the majority is a democratic process. The majority wins, and it is the failure of the other party to convince the other side otherwise, and then you're stuck in that situation. It doesn't change the fact that when people say the president of XYZ country is that's your country. So when you say it's not my manager, it doesn't make sense because it's your club. Unless you're gonna tell us that you don't support Man United anymore, in which case, fair enough, good for you. Because some people are putting on the other club's t-shirts. I still have a Man United top personally because that's my club, and I've had some heat, because I wear this in public. It is what it is. Drake says, "I think we can go toe to toe, but it needs to be on a consistent basis." I appreciate the optimism. I don't know because I mean Tottenham were in the same form as us, and we still failed against them. We made them look like they were coming into a good run of form the way we lost to Spurs. And that's the thing that's worrying because Chelsea fans have been licking their lips to play us with Ten Hag in charge. So when they heard that INEOS and them are meeting and stuff, Chelsea fans were like, "No, give him a chance. We want to play Ten Hag." And when the opposition says that, yes, they're bantering, but a part of them wants that because we're not good right now. We're not, and people want to play us while we're not good because I've always maintained this, right? A lot of people are laughing at us because the idea or the reality of a united team that has its shit in order is not good for the league. It's good for us. It is good for the league in terms of monetary value. Obviously, Man United being successful is not going to be bad for the Premier League, but it's bad for every other fan because a lot of these people are only seeing their clubs be successful now as adults. They didn't get to enjoy school because we enjoyed school, right? So the idea that even in their adulthood, we being good is not good for them. So yeah, anyway, that's just a side thing that I was just saying. Um, we can go to toe to toe on paper, in my opinion, because sometimes when we discuss the player profile aspect of things, look, we didn't get rid of everybody. There's still people that are here, your Maguires, Evans, Luke Shaw is another one that I think should be going Rashford. But I don't think that we have enough of these players to allow ourselves to accept being in this position. So I feel like we've brought in enough players that we should be going toe to toe because a lot of these guys are international players for their football clubs, and it's not like they play for small clubs at that. Okay, so they play for big countries. They've got big CVs, and they come to United and die. So the problem isn't them, clearly, at this point, in my opinion. Yes, we've had a lot of people with bad attitudes, but I keep saying, like, isn't it strange that we keep letting go of people? And maybe it's the weight, because that's another argument, the weight of the shirt. But people leave, and then it's almost as if they're flourishing. It's like, yeah. Kenny says, we have been a cup team for a decade, to be honest. It's going to be a long construction to fix. The winning club culture, that's the reality. And you know what? That boils down to the management aspect of the club, right? Because in that 10 decades, it's not, for me, it's not that a lot of the managers we hired were bad because a lot of these guys had track records of being successful. So we did hire successful people with plans to make us successful. It's just that a lot of the decisions we made on a footballing level behind doors, buying players, scouting, the youth system in our team. I mean, you look at other teams and their youth academies and the amount of money, which I know is not the goal. You obviously want to maybe have homegrown, but a lot of the money that people have generated from other clubs buying their youth players, it paints the picture of we haven't been run well. And for me, when Ten Hag originally joined our team, right, I said to people, look, and also and INEOS, because it actually also applies to them as the new owners. There's a lot of crap that has happened for various reasons over this decade that needs to be cleaned up. But the problem I have with Ten Hag is that you also need to help yourself, okay? Because the one thing you don't want to do is not to have the fans on your side. It's bad enough the media is against you. It's bad enough that ownership is very trigger happy, okay? Don't get us on your bedside because you almost, you know what, how what when Bayern fans were petitioning to keep Mateus, you want that, you want to have the fans on your side. If anything, have us on your side, right, as the manager, because then we can back the thing and say, dudes, you guys aren't backing this guy, you aren't helping his cause, he's trying to make us successful. But if you're also going down a road that's making us a problem, I think you're creating problems for yourself personally. Drake's Drax coming back here and saying we need to learn to agree to disagree. And guys, we're grown ups. I mean, this shouldn't be such a controversial things to say. It shouldn't be such a hard thing to learn. Temperament, guys. Temperament. I know emotions. It's an emotional sport. It's an emotional sport. But when we go to bed and wake up the next day and it is what it is, come on, guys. Let's agree that we're not. Let's have the heated debates. It's great for TV. It's great for content. I will be here to facilitate these things because I want views. But after that, guys, come on. We can't do it 2 days, 3 days, 4 days in a row. It's crazy. Yep. No point stressing. I'm with that. Um, no, flip flopping isn't a crime, bro. That's why I touched it to the to what you call this, to the emotions side of things, right? Because football is an emotional sport, right? There's a way that football makes us feel that keeps us addicted because no matter how bad United are, every time the season ends, eventually there's almost a sense of I miss United. Eventually, I don't care which fan it is, we get excited. And I know we get excited because we start looking into who are we linked to. If we're getting a new manager, who's the new manager? Who are we selling? What are the possibilities for the season ahead? That's the emotion that's involved with football. And that is where flip flopping comes from. The same way emotions ebb and flow is the same way how you feel about the club will ebb and flow. So the idea that you said this when the season began, now you're saying, I'm like, my dude, you make it seem like we don't change our minds in normal life. So what the hell are we doing right now? But anyway, final point on this topic before I move on. Vegeta, to be fair, I think INEOS should have got their own manager and not keep Ten Hag. That would have saved the fan base some pain. I hear that, Drax, and a lot of people would have agreed with you. But the problem, again, this is where I feel like as fans, we need to then become accountable. Um, as much as people get angry at the statement, uh, I've got what 62 subscribers. I don't think Man United is paying me to give them any sort of PR. So I'm just gonna flush that allegation down the drain before it happens. But what I was gonna say is that ideally, a fresh slate for them would have made sense. In other words, you're getting rid of the medical department, you're getting rid of all these players, you're getting rid of the structure. You got rid of Erik Ten Hag's staff. That's another thing. They got rid of the staff, the coaching staff, and they kept the actual manager. Most organizations just put their people in because they've got a certain way they want to go in and they trust whoever it is they're putting in place to do that. So it would have been in their best interests, but I guess these are the things we will judge INEOS by when they chose to, I guess, give a lot of the fan because a lot of the fan base after the FA Cup nostalgia was happening said keep him. I was there, I was one of them. Said keep him. We kept him, and here we are today. Right? I just think the idea that people wanted him and then people changing their minds makes people negative fans. And me personally, I'm gonna say this to the Ten Hag out people, right? The more reasonable ones, not the far into whatever their agenda is. I'll say, look, feel how you feel because at the end of the day, supporting your manager doesn't inherently just make you a better fan. It just means you support the manager. So don't even let those words affect you. If you're negative, then just say yes, I'm negative, and put the ball back in their court. I'm negative, and you're not a real fan. Of course, I'm not a real fan, and I mean that's your perception of me. I can't deny that that's how you're receiving me, and the ball's in their court. But I think again, guys, just to conclude this, it's over. The jig is up. The meeting was had. Ten Hag is here. Now, to swiftly move on to the next topic now. We haven't had much information from INEOS or the club to say what was being said, what is happening. It's more or less more of as you were because nothing really has fundamentally changed since our last game before the international break. But a trend that is now picking up is I am on INEOS Watch because they have not gotten rid of Ten Hag or for whatever other reasons. Basically, in how long have INEOS been here? Since February, I want to say. I don't know. I don't know when the acquisition, live TV. I don't know when the acquisition was made final, but unlike Ten Hag, Ineos hasn't even been here for a full season. And damn, people are on Ineos watch. Guys, don't we think that's a little bit of an overreaction? I don't know. It's a question for a reason. I am not gonna put it out there as a statement because again, I can't tell people how to feel and how to support a club. But Ineos watch already. Guys, Ineos watch October. These guys have had one window. The way Ten Hag fans are defending Ten Hag and saying, hey, it's only the first year. I think that's a more reasonable thing for INEOS. It's they've not even had winter. They haven't had the winter transfer. And guys, if you're gonna be mad at INEOS, are we all saying that when the summer happened, were we really look? I understand that some people didn't want what's his name? Ugarte. Because some people wanted Amrabat, if I'm not mistaken. Uh but like guys, we were all like Casemiro out, Ugarte in, Ugarte will solve problems, da 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 da. Mateus Delict, get it done by all costs. Lenny Euro, who's been injured to be fair, but Lenny Euro got him from Madrid. We're a big boy club now. Mazarawi, one of the best players we've seen this season so far. Who else did we sign this season? Xerxes gets his first goal. Get it, Xerxes. Bow, bow, bow. Um, I know that some people were like not sure about not getting a seasoned number 9. Fine. Some people wanted another center midfield. Fine. But altogether, we were happy with the summer. INEOS doesn't give us one thing, and it's INEOS Watch. Sorry, that's the term that people are using. And why? Like, why? I understand it's tied to the Ten Hag saga, but I'm like, guys, for me personally, the idea when we say community, if you know these things, you know these things. If you don't, you need to be in the community. What are you doing? There's so many of us. You need to be on our channels. We're always interacting. So these things will make sense if you're part of the community, right? The Reckless Delegation community, the Football Power Hour community, Football Fan Zone, all of those communities. Canny Fan Zone, if you're on there, we've said these things, you've heard them, we've laughed at them. But when people say stuff like you can't rush greatness or give it time, trust the process. INEOS have over suddenly become the Glazers overnight, apparently. Despite the fact that they're trying to do the open heart surgery that Ralph Ragnick spoke to, because don't get it twisted. The surgery was never just about on the pitch. Yes, on the pitch, the team needed to be deconstructed and then rebuilt again, which is what I think they've started doing. In my opinion, we've seen so many people go out that we never thought would go out. They've decided not to keep giving people extensions, right? They let go of Wan Bissaka because it was either that or extend his thing so we can make some money, or let him go on free. That's also another option. But they made decisions to say no, let's get rid of these that are surplus to requirements. They are redoing Carrington, although I don't like the way they went about it, kicking the women's team out of their facilities. That's just me. But they're doing all of these things that, guys, how long have the other guys, the Glazers? Oh, I don't even remember them. Like, I don't want to think about those guys because we already know what they're made of. It's the reason why I felt Qatari. I wanted to be Qatari. But like these guys are doing all of these things, right? And maybe it's not perfect. Maybe I would have preferred Ralph Ragnick to a Dan Ashworth, but it's whatever. There's a structure, there's people. I mean, Omar Barada, listening to his work at City, even seeing some of the City documentaries and his input in the team, I thought, you know what, fair enough. He wants to step up. I'm not mad at that. I mean, we haven't had a footballing CEO, period, in a while. I could be wrong. So these guys are doing the open heart surgery, and we're not even down to the nitty gritties of the surgery itself, and people are jumping off. And we say that getting rid of players is hard. Getting rid of ownership, as we learned, we know this. We put this here. We know this firsthand, guys. We just went through the Sheikh versus the Sir Jim saga, right? We wanted one party, most of us, from what I saw during the time, and we quickly found out just how hard it is to get rid of owners you don't want, okay? Because the Glazers are still here. Surprise. Hello. It's not just INEOS. INEOS might be taking care of the footballing side of things, but there is the Glazers. I mean, some of them were here, I believe, for that meeting that they had on Tuesday. So if we are going to be INEOS out already, what is there left to support? Is my question kind of to this, I suppose. Reaction to INEOS's lack of decision behind the whole Ten Hag thing. If already we were like, I'm on INEOS watch because, and now people are saying this, whether it's true or false is a different matter altogether. But people are now saying, oh, but you know, Woodward would have got rid of um Ten Hag by now. And I'm like, guys, the same Woodward we were complaining about, Mr. Accounting, Mr. Shirt Sales. So we've done revisionism with players, we've done revisionism with managers. Now we're doing revisionism with past. I don't want to say ownership because the Glazers are still here, but we're doing revisionism with people who were running the club because apparently, because Woodward would have done it now, INEOS are ops. And what's to say that the sort of support that Ten Hag is getting, the other guys were supposed to get, but because of Woodward, they got rid of them. This is what I'm saying. Like sometimes, and look, Drake's is perfectly right. It's it's flip flopping. I saw it somewhere here, flip flopping, and people will flip flop. But guys, this one, even I had to question. Big up Stephanie. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Even I can be like, guys, Mara, like, and sorry, this is South African slang. When I say Mara, it means like I'm saying but, like, however, slang. Mara, guys. Ha. INEOS Watch in October, in their first season in charge of Man United. This is what I think is crazy. It's like you buy a house, right? It was crackhead infested. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. It was crackhead infested. It's got graffiti. The structure is compromised. Um, it's just not livable. And I've seen a couple of the stuff on flipping channels. These channels like your HTV. What is it? These channels, man, where they like renovate homes and all of that stuff. Like it's dilapidated. Like you can't even believe that people lived there. That's what for me Man United has represented for the last 10 years. Now I've got beef with Ten Hag, but that's a side issue. With Man United, these guys came in and saw this dilapidated building and they're addressing, like it's a construction site, essentially, if I'm going with this analogy. And we've installed a new foundation, we've installed new roofing because that was out. The crackheads broke in through the roof to steal stuff. We've fixed a lot of the cracks in the walls. So right now it's just a skeleton, right? We've had to strip it down to be able to build it back up and make it livable again. And we don't have, bro, we don't have any of the window frames in, no doors in, no cupboards, no flooring, no heating. The grass still needs to be cut. The garden maybe needs a trimming as well. The pool is overgrown, so we might need to fix that. We might even need to add a little bit of irrigation here because it's an old house. There's no irrigation system. I'm like, guys, these guys have just gotten to a point where they've made the canvas almost plain because there's still parts of the old that's still there that needs to be cleaned out. But I'm like, I don't know if you've ever been on a construction site, but that stuff don't happen overnight. And I'm like, you guys wanted a mansion when the last people were just smoking crack, spraying graffiti, not taking care of the garden, um, not paying the water bill. So there's no water, not paying the lights bill. They stole some of our microwaves and all of that other stuff because the Glazers have been taking out what do they call it, the money they take out every time before they run out of money. So these guys have been even taking, they went looking after the house and they stole from the house. Can you imagine, you buy a house and some of the stuff you saw when you were going to view the house is not even there because the previous owners stole all of this stuff. But all of a sudden, I'm a bad owner. I'm like, guys, come on. Oh, dividends, thank you. They were taking dividends. So the dividends in this analogy is the furniture and stuff. And I'm like, guys, I just got here. I just put a new foundation. I got rid of the grass. I just fixed the roof. I'm trying to make this a good house for the neighborhood again. Give me a chance, you know? Um, but no, I guess I must go because this one contractor that I gave a chance because you guys begged me to with your letters must go now. I don't know, people. I just think INEOS Watch is a little bit too premature, guys. You can feel how you maybe you can put it down as a I don't like this decision, but to say that it's what do you call it? It's INEOS Watch. Come on, guys. Like, let's be serious. Let's actually be serious for a second now. Let these guys construct. Let's see what the house looks like, and we can do that whole before and after review. You know, like in this show, they say before, and you're like, "Oh, that house looked a bit," and then they show you the after, and you're like, "That's fire. I want that in my house." Let's give it time. Let's give it time. Is all I'm saying. Shout out to Jakes. That's why we call this a therapy. The therapy podcast. The therapy podcast. We're going to look at things and actually talk about them. And like I said, we'll grow the show in the future. I want to hear what your guys' ideas are because the things that are happening on this United Street, and we're gonna look at news in the future because some of the news that is associated with us, guys. Hey, when they say United sells, I believe it because even now we will fabricate things that don't exist. Yeah. But anyway, I just think INEOS Watch, let's move on. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Now, this is the final topic. I think I had one more topic that I wanted to discuss. Oh, this is the second last, and then we'll look at the Brentford game with United because at the end of the day, guys, we can talk about all of these things, but again, what is the reality? We've got a game at Old Trafford against Brentford, and the last time we met these guys, it wasn't nice. I didn't enjoy what I was seeing. It, yeah, we'll get to that topic, but this is the last thing I want to talk about, right? Today when I was on, I think it was Mark Ain's channel, right? No, was it Mark? No, it was KG's channel actually. KG the comedian, look him up. Fantastic channel. The delegates, funny, you know. And if you're a delegate, welcome. Thank you for finding my channel. But one of the questions I had raised to Ten Hag out people because actually let me get out. I wrote notes because sometimes what happens when you're on a channel is that you hear so much things that your thoughts almost go everywhere. So I thought let me take notes of what I'm feeling and thinking as I'm listening to people call in. And one of the things I heard was Ten Hag is not going to be able to perform his job because we still haven't resolved the root cause of the root cause issue at the club, right? And I sort of wondered what is the root cause of the problems at United? Because a lot of the things we've said before Ineos joined, right, was, and I want to list these things. And if I correct me if I'm wrong, guys, whether it's in the live right now or in the comment sections, if you're listening to this after the fact, guys, please like the video. Tell YouTube you like this. Let the algorithm know people need to see this content. More United fans need therapy because all they've seen on other channels is depression, or they've seen too much positivity. They need a place where we can talk. But anyway, the root cause, right? What do we think is the root cause of the issues right now? Not what they were in the past. Why can't we string a run of wins? What is the root cause? Because people are saying Ten Hag can't be successful because we still haven't solved the root cause, right? Interesting thing I heard. And I thought to myself, okay, we used to say that our managers don't have a structure, right? We don't have a footballing structure. We're run by accountants. One of them was Woodward, who apparently is this fantastic guy who would have fired Ten Hag now. Don't know about that one. But we didn't have a structure, right? Ineos gets Omar Barada. I've seen his CV. The guy isn't an idiot, bro. Okay. He's been at two clubs that have been successful. So he must know what to do. You know, Dan Ashworth, again, if you look at some of the young people that have come through the England FA for their country, guys, a lot of us expect England to be winning stuff because of the talent that they have. And if he was part of that and part of some of the stuff he was doing at Newcastle, he can't be that bad. Okay. Wilcox allegedly helped us win the FA Cup in the last few couple of games with some of the advice that he gave. Ten Hag as a technical director, I think is his post. So those are the CEO, football director, and the technical director, if I'm not mistaken, right? And again, my memory tells me that people were very happy at the time. So you can't say that the structure is a problem. We fixed the structure. Nah? The player profile is an issue. A lot of the times we used to say that this manager can't thrive because we still have this player from the old regimes, from something burning. I hope it's not my laptop. I hope this thing is breathing. I hope it's breathing. Let me see. Yeah, it's breathing. It's breathing. It's breathing. Um, but the point was the player profile wasn't right. A lot of these players can't play Ten Hag style. Not good enough for Ten Hag. First season, yes. Second season, injuries. But right now, guys, from the first season, we've released a lot of players, guys. Let's be honest. McFred. Oh, I never want to see McFred again. And I'm starting there because it's infamous. It's the one thing we needed to break up, right? He got rid of Fred. We thought, yay, it's the end of McFred. Got rid of Scott McTominay this summer. Got rid of David De Gea, problematic goalkeeper apparently. Got rid of David. Um, got rid of Wan-Bissaka. Wasn't good enough to challenge Delo. Mazraoui. He's looked good. He's been so good. Ten Hag doesn't even want to play Delo in his rightful position. Um, Anthony Martial, too injury prone. Um, don't renew his contract. Gone. Um, Midfield. Oh, we got rid of Varane. Thank you, Stephanie. We got rid of Varane. Injury prone. Rolls Royce good on his day, but he has to be fit. Got rid of Varane. So my point is, a lot of the argument we made for injury for the player profile doesn't stick with me because a lot of these guys. I mean, we've got let's think about this from the previous regimes. We've got Rashford, poster boy, right? Luke Shaw, forever injured conveniently when it's time to sell people. Convenient, in my opinion. Um, Bruno Fernandes, captain. We were happy when he became our captain. He's Captain Magnifico. Okay. So we've got Bruno, Luke Shaw, Rashi. We've got, I guess, Malasia, if you want to. Oh, wait, he was brought under Ten Hag. No, so I can't even count him. Who else is still here from that regime? Heaton, Tom Heaton, I guess, if you want to count him. He doesn't really play for us, but he's there. Ericsson, was he brought under Ten Hag or was it before? I'm finding it hard to remember people who were on the old regime, guys. So what? So my point is player profile. A lot of the guys playing for him now were bought in for his time. Whether we agree that they are the right fit or not, they were bought for Erik Ten Hag in this club. So I don't understand. Ericsson is okay. Yeah. I thought as much. I thought as much. But my point is, I don't think the player profile thing we can keep using that, guys, because this team to a degree has fundamentally changed. Like a lot of the toxic people, your Paul Pogba's, even Ronaldo. We said CR7 was a problem. He's gone. Mason Greenwood and his personal stuff. He's gone. So we can't say personal profile. Personally, that's just me. Let me know how you feel. Um, Medical staff. I was on the medical staff last year, bro. The amount of injuries pissed me off. And I said, and also, I was angry that they were making Erik look bad because they were telling Erik people are ready when they're not ready. They were fast tracking people. I don't know if it was because the players were in a rush to get back onto the pitch to not lose their place, which I'm like, dude, this guy's got his favorites. So if you're not there to begin with, but the point is, I didn't like the medical staff. People got fired. Okay, we got medical staff people in, and we got medical staff people out. Ronaldo spoke about the facilities, because apparently, Carrington falls under BCE, which is not a term I use because I still believe in before Christ. But Carrington was before Common Era. They are in the process. This is what I'm talking about, guys. These guys are trying to fix Carrington and bring it up to standard. They're having discussions about the stadium because maybe it's the leaky roof that's not letting Ten Hag play his football. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what the root cause is. Stephanie says here that the root cause is the common denominators that prevent us from scoring more than 60 Premier League goals for the last two seasons. misfiring forward players, Bruno and Rashford, in my opinion. And it's look, I think the on-field stuff is the on-field stuff. I don't think my point that I'm trying to make is I don't think a lot of what's wrong right now is a structural problem from above because the people running the football now are different. The structure is different. Like there's a lot of change that's happened. And I know it's hard because we haven't had these things and we almost have to switch how we think because even when we say we can't sack Ten Hag because we caught in a loop, I'm like it's not a loop when they are now new factors that have been introduced into the environment. So, for instance, you can't say your house is still the same if you've added a new room. It's not the same house. You've added a new room. It's different. So, in our case, we've changed a lot of things at the club. So, even if we change managers, the people who are going to be the ones in charge of finding a new manager are not the same people. It's not going to go through the same process as it did before. So there is no guarantee that we're still stuck in the same loop. If you guys are going to agree that it's his first year under a new structure, it's also the first time under a new structure we're going to fire somebody and hire a new manager. So this, for me personally, the stuff on the pitch, because the window's closed now, there is no point literally pointing out. Um, there's no point pointing out the people we should have got now, because a lot of us were happy. I refuse to believe that people were unhappy. A lot of people were happy with the window. A lot of people were impressed. Oh my goodness, we got this price for this player. We got rid of this player. We got this player in. So for me, fundamentally, I agree with Stephanie to say that a lot of the root causes right now are actually on the training pitch. Something between manager and coaches. And I say coaches because I would be a hypocrite. I've said this in the past, so I'm going to repeat it now. Ten Hag isn't alone, but Ten Hag is the face. So he represents the coaching, right? The coaching and the players are not finding each other because for all the good that we've seen in terms of our defensive work this season, the issue that we had last season, besides the defense, was that we weren't scoring enough goals, which is why we ended up with a negative goal difference and why we finished eighth because the goals bring down or take up your goal difference, and the goals win you a game of football at the end of the day. How you achieve those two things, by keeping clean sheets win you leagues. The defenses win you leagues, but it's goals that win you the 3 points in each game. So these two things have to work in tandem, right? So that's why I'm like when people are like, yeah, but I want to start a football and really care. No, you want both. You want both because you need a good defense as well as a good attacking unit to win stuff. Because even right now, there's no guarantee that we can do well. Sorry, my nose is itchy. There's no guarantee that we can do well, even in the cup competitions, because we're not scoring. And if the other side of the other people don't seem to struggle with this thing, because where we struggled with Crystal Palace, Everton got goals against Crystal Palace. You get what I'm saying? So fundamentally, there's something on the football pitch. Sorry, guys. There's something wrong on the football pitch, right? That isn't translating to goals. And I have a beef with United fans. Y'all told me that the South African coach, my Benny McCarthy, is the reason why our people are scoring goals. We've got Ruud van Nistelrooy. What's the problem now? Last time I checked, Ruud was scoring goals for fun when he played. So these guys, and Rashford is still the same. Ahmad is only getting his chance now. And people again are throwing him under the bus already. Hoyland just got back from an injury. But even him, he's young. That's the whole reason why I wanted an Ivan Toney. Somebody seasoned, bro. Ivan Toney might not get 20 goals, guys. But he's a mature enough striker that we can put the pressure on him. I feel like people like Hoyland and Maino and them shouldn't be having this thing because a lot of the young guys, and we always talk about youth this, youth that, but the youth always had people that they could rely on. We don't have reliable senior players at this club, in my opinion, right now. So yes, I'm not gonna just say Ten Hag out, whatever. But I'm like Ten Hag, bro. These guys are not that bad. Where we can't get goals against Crystal Palace, we can't see we can't see games out. Like we can't be going 2-2 nil up and then all of a sudden it's 3-3 at the end of the game. Those are things that I'm like, dude, this has got nothing to do with the structure, medical stuff, or anything else under the sun. It's you. And also, when you look at Stephanie's comment around Bruno and Rashford, right, who are not good right now in this season of Man United for us, then why do we play them? You know what I'm saying? Why do we create issues for ourselves? I don't know. But you can't, all those things that I listed, you can't tell me that those are still the root reasons why we're still here, guys. Because it's starting to get ridiculous. We can't keep burying our heads in the sands and just hoping that things will Aladdin, things will just Hogwarts. It'll just be, crouching tiger, hidden dragon. You just see magic. It's not gonna just magic itself. That's why the idea of keeping both parties to say, players, you need to do your part, but the manager needs to somehow simplify the instructions so that they find each other because they both need each other to be successful. If people think that just because you've got world class players, you don't need a good coach, you're crazy. You still need a good coach to coach world class or good players. So both sides of the party need each other. And if they're not finding each other, unfortunately, the easier thing to change in this situation is the coach. But something has to give. And with saying that, guys, I don't know if I put it here. Oh, I did. I just didn't put it in the order I wanted it to be. Let's discuss this briefly, and then we can conclude the therapy. It's nice, guys, to just talk. Let's talk. Talking is healthy. It's so healthy to talk. It's so, and it's not even shouting. That's another thing I don't understand with United fans. It's like we think the higher we speak, the more we shout, the higher the octave is, the more right we are. I don't understand what is the correlation with that. High octave means I'm right. I don't know. Therapy, we talk, we speak, we have conversations, maturity. Uh, in light of the fact that we have to accept the reality, now this is me rounding up everything. We have to accept the reality that Erik is our manager, that a lot of the mitigating factors that he had before are not there for the most part. For the most part. I'm not going to say completely because then I'm being disingenuous. But for the most part, you've got a lot going for you, Erik, right? And coaching staff. What was the other topic? INEOS Watch. I think that's a little bit premature. So in light of the fact that this is where we are, we've got INEOS, we've got Erik Ten Hag, and we've been both players. What are we going to take from the first couple of games? How many? I think we've had 7 league games, which is bloody. It feels like we've had a lot of games with the way things have been going, but we've had a handful of games. We've had time to assess it. There are positives, guys. Don't get it twisted. We can't say that we've seen absolutely nothing. And the one thing I said to a lot of my friends in this space, in the YouTube space, is that there are things that Erik, because now I'm putting aside my feelings and I'm saying I'm going to support Erik and the boys because we have games that still need to be won, right? And I hope that this is something as United fans we can at least come to an agreement on. We still have to win these games because we still want to be in the Champions League. I don't care how slim it might seem now. Actually, let me pull up the table quickly while we talk about this. EPL table. Let's do this. This table will disgust you guys. Hopefully, the internet doesn't lose its mind because it happens sometimes when I am. It happens sometimes when. One second, guys. What's up? Wifey needed them diapers, guys. My bad, my bad. As you can tell, I'm not in an office. It would be nice to make some YouTube money so I can buy a house. It's a dream to own a house, guys. Maybe I should start a GoFundMe. Who knows? But let me share the. Oh wait, hang on. What am I sharing? Share screen. Doop, doop. Cool. All right. Standings. So first of all, did you guys see that? I had to click more standings to see us. That's disgusting. But what I want to do is a quick comparison. Liverpool are first with 18 points, right? I'm not saying we're going to win the league. It's at 18. So we are 10 points off first. Okay, fine. Number 4 is got 14 points. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So at the 7 points. Wow. No, I'm lying. We're 6 points off fourth, right? 6 points, right? 6 points off fourth. So me personally, I want to play in the Champions League. It would be nice if we can do a combination of top four and the Europa League. But the point that I'm trying to make in looking at the table, guys, is this is where we are now. Because when you are fixing a problem, in my experience, you first have to settle into the reality of I am too. I was about to use pounds, but I'm used to the metric of kilograms. I am 100 kilograms and I need to get to 80 kilograms. That's the reality, right? I am 8 points. That's all I've got on the table. The place I'm trying to get to is on 14 points. What are we doing starting with the Brentford game that gets us there? Because guys, again, no matter how you feel about the manager, we can never turn into Arsenal where we accept back-to-back seasons out of the Champions League. We can't do that. It cannot be a part of the heritage or the fabric of this club. Me, personally, it is still going to be subpar to fall outside of that because your league form is the reality of where you are as a club. Cup cup competition, maybe it's a little bit different now because Europa is almost like a league. So maybe that'll also tell a story in and of itself. But the point I'm making is that we can't go into Brentford's game and we're saying, um, oh, it was a good game. We got a draw, or we could have won it. We need to win it, and to win it, we need to score goals. And for me, my personal opinion is this: Erik has to drop our captain to send the right message. To if good is not good enough, if what we're doing is not acceptable, things like dropping your captain, because your captain is supposed to lead from the front. In other words, the other people need to see what your captain is doing and they should want to have the desire to mimic it. And right now, there's nothing fundamentally about the captain that should be mimicked. Personally, drop him, drop Bruno. Okay. Now, I know Ganacho has had impacts, and that's the point. He's been an impact player for us. Play bloody Rashford on the left. Now, play Ahmad because you need to a degree to have something a little bit different. You need to have a different flavor. You can't have two of the same type of wingers because what happens is that if Rashford runs out of steam, you already have your other striker other forward who's a like for like. He's tired and they've marked him as well in the game. So you need to have a backup plan to Rashford. And our backup plan to Rashford right now is so they both are backup plan to each other. Okay. So we need to have either Rashford or Garnacho. In my opinion, play Rashford. Okay, he's a cleaner striker of the ball, in my opinion, and he's the senior player, and he's not been terrible this season. Despite last season, the back line, Licha, unless you're gonna put a left back next to that guy, drop him. Okay, play the lift with Maguire. I don't give a damn what people say. Harry has been good for us. Harry has done us a service. Harry has been professional. Right now, if he's fit enough, play him. If he isn't, I don't know. Mazarawi is head and shoulders above the low right now. I would say play a left back out and out. I haven't watched Harry Amas. I know a lot of people have been ranting and raving about him. But if Erik Ten Hag is the youthful coach that everybody speaks to, play Harry Amas, bro. Because one way or another, we need to have a left back. Tyrell is not going to be ready anytime soon. And Luke Shaw, I don't know, bro. He seems to be in his, and I don't want to say this. I'm not going to say it. But he's not, he just seems to be content right now. It just feels that way. I don't know, but he's not fit. Is the point? Onana's gonna be Onana. Although it would be nice to give Bayern D a chance. Um. So Anana's gonna play. I'm okay with that. He's also picked up some form also to a degree. And then in the midfield, Ten Hag, bro, you can't spend 60 million more or less, right, on a center midfielder and not use him. Or in this case, it was a central defensive midfielder, but he's a midfielder. We need to figure out a way to get Ugarte on the pitch, have Eriksen as your 10, but also play Eriksen as the 10, knowing that the reality is he can't finish the game, right? And then let's try and reintegrate Kobe Mano because or play Casemiro in the 8. I don't no beef with that. My point is we need a good number 10 and we need an out and out number 6. Ugarte fits the bill for number 6. It's just how you're gonna set up the midfield, in my opinion. Like if you're gonna isolate Ugarte, good luck because it doesn't really matter who you play in that 6 if they're gonna be isolated, in my opinion. We need a little bit of more compactness. We need a core. We need a strong core. We need to, yeah. And then again, like I said with the forward line, for me, give me Rashford. I know Stephanie is saying Rashi is too predictable. Um, but I've seen when we've started Garnacho, it kind of feels weird. And when we've tried to play Rashi as an impact player, also him, it's almost as if he feels discouraged. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just think play Rashford, play Hoyland, because Xerxes is not a number 9, unfortunately. So don't play him. Um, and play Ahmad. The one thing I need the coaching staff to work on with Ahmad is output doesn't necessarily mean goal, but he needs to get assists if he's not getting goals, right? So he needs output in that sense. But play him. He's a good player to use if Brentford decides to, sit deep, give us the ball, and we need to break them down. And then Anthony is a good option off the bench. Garnacho for me is a better impact player than Rashford to have off the bench when we are needing goals in the second half. And Xerxes for me can come on to play behind Hoyland. We need to try that because I don't think we're gonna get much joy playing unless could we play Xerxes as a false 9 is the question because he's not gonna play as a 9-9. I don't know. The point is, Erik, you need to get goals by all means necessary because all of this input with no output to show for it is only going to further dig your hole into the grave. Shout out to men like Man Lutata, who says, all we want from the manager is a sensible lineup. Is it hard? We fans even deserve a lineup which will make us positive before 75 minutes. Sorry, before 75 minutes before the game starts. I agree with you. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if them, there's a saying, and these old proverbs and stuff, we sometimes take for granted the wisdom of old. There's an old adage that says, "Start as you mean to end. Begin how you wish to continue this journey. Don't start off bad and try to finish good." This whole ideology of United has always started off slow. Is something we need to bury because the fundamental difference with this United is that it's not winning the Premier League. So it does not have the luxury of starting off slow. We can't start off slow. We need to start off strong, but at the same time, the other problem, United can't be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, first half FC. Erik, have a good starting 11, have a good first half, but impact the second half as well because your job doesn't start or end with just the first half. Okay, it also other manager is anticipating a specific way of you playing. If their initial plan falls out of the window, more often than not, they're gonna change stuff. Erik, you need to be able to respond to the change. Even if we're in a commanding position, you need to make changes that will keep us in that position. You're playing chess. We're not playing checkers. If the other person makes a move, you also need to make a move. And your move can't be to the detriment of the chess game. We can't end up in a checkmate by watching the other people make changes and we say nothing and or the initial plan didn't work. Life is agile. Football is agile. In other words, things are going to happen in real time and you best have your big boy boots to also make changes in real time. Make big calls. Say, you know what? I left out Bruno. but I don't like the way Eriksen is playing. I'm gonna give Bruno a chance to try and win me back. That is putting on your big boy boots and trying to make a change in real time. Okay, people? That's all I want to see. I'm with Mandu Tata on this. Let's get a good lineup. Let's be positive for the game. Let's support the team. The reality is here. Accept it. Support Man United. Remember, the one job you have as a supporter is not to fire and hire the manager, it is to support Manchester Football Club. And yes, guys, it is a terrible. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We're in a rut that is diabolical, doesn't even begin. I wish there were English words to capture what I'm trying to say, but English is not my mother tongue, unfortunately. But I have to cater for an international audience. We've been diabolical, but we are Manchester United. We need to keep going. We need to show up as our job for the 12 men, but equally United. You guys are probably not watching. But if anybody somehow comes across this, maybe I clip up one part of this and make it a short. For the love of everything that is good, show up. We will be there against Brentford. Home, bro. You don't let nobody compromise the security of your home. Don't you dare keep letting Old Trafford keep getting violated. Because for all of the history this great stadium has, you guys, in the midst of us maybe transitioning to a new stadium, are denting the bloody history of this club. You are spitting on the legacy of what has been built, and it is unacceptable. It's tragic. So you have to win by all means necessary. And you have to keep winning because an apex predator only gets better at hunting the more it does it successfully, not unsuccessfully. Yes, you will learn from the mistakes you make when a buffalo or two spearheads you and you survive, but you need to get used to the taste of victory. Because let me tell you something, when you become good at something and you just get used to winning, losing sucks. I know this in my personal life. When you're so used to winning, losing becomes unfamiliar. It feels dirty. It's like, why? How did I let this happen to me? So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me just answer a few of your guys' questions and then the therapy session is over. It's good therapy. Um Dark Rose says, shout out to you, my man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your support. He says, how much more should we support the manager? Remember him in our prayers. Mention his name before and after our meals. Do meditation, murmuring his name. I guess the best way I can answer that question for you is that Ten Hag is gonna leave at some stage, whether it's by his choice or the club firing him. Your club is going to remain, right? And I guess Darkro, the question, because Ten Hag is going to be on the sideline, right? He's going to be the manager on paper. He's going to be the one making the decisions in terms of the starting lineup. He's the manager, right? I'm not saying it means I'm Ten Hag in. It's that the reality doesn't necessarily fit what I wish would be my narrative right now, right? And your club still has to play a football match. Now, you have to support your club. Not that you have to, but it would be ideal to support the club on the day and wish them luck and hope to God that they win because it's of benefit to your club. Because the reality says if you don't win enough games in a league, you get relegated, right? And that reality doesn't care if you're Manchester United or not. And I don't think our hate for the manager should affect our support of the club because the club still needs to be successful with or without Erik. It has to be. Um, so on Saturday or whenever it is we're playing, we're supporting Man United, right? So you need to learn how to compartmentalize things. You need to compartmentalize your feelings towards this manager and some of the players or all of the players. I don't know. Maybe you hate all of them, But the objective truth says, as long as Erik is here, he's our manager. So you kind of have to find a way to wish the boys well on the pitch, and because the banter's not going to go anywhere, yeah, the rivals will be there. Um, so I just think support the club. You know, sorry, I don't have all the answers. I'm trying to administer some therapy. Feel how you feel about the manager, but support your club. Uh, let's read this final few comments. Stephanie saying United need to put up to shut up media and rivals. Exactly. And look, guys, I know that sometimes we feel like, oh, if we win, they're gonna keep Erik. Guys, unless any of us are that's or even or Nostradamus, we don't know. But the alternative is losing. And I don't like losing. Losing is dirty. I don't like it. Guys, you know when people say, "Oh, so you only supported United through the good times?" I'm like, guys, when I got into supporting Man United, we were in the good times. Unfortunately, I went out of my way of I went out of my way to support them because they win. I want to win. I don't like the idea of losing. Okay, so people who say, "But you guys, yes, we want to win." Shocking, shocking that the people who don't want Erik here want us to win. Sorry, you know. ETH is the manager until he isn't. That's just the reality I've come to accept. Mando Tata, oh, sorry, Matata United. My bad. Accusing Ten Hag outers of wanting the team to lose is so criminal and wrong. When also Ten Hag inners can be accused of accepting embarrassing results underneath the manager. I'm sure I'm going to run into this a lot in YouTube, where perhaps I'm misheard, but what I had said earlier on in the podcast is exactly what you're saying. There are people, a small percentage of people on either side of the argument, that have extremist views. Now, if I'm wrong, I apologize, Matata United. But I have seen with my own eyes, I have heard with my own ears, people who fundamentally hate Erik so much that they want the club to lose. So I'm not saying that everybody who's on our side, because I would like to think that you're also Erik Ten Hag out. I'm Erik Ten Hag out. I don't think he's the guy. But I have seen people who've said, I hate him so much that United needs to lose a game so that we can get rid of him. I've heard it. And I've addressed that and I said that's kind of weird to me, you know? I just think my reality says Erik is here. So let me support United. That's just me as an Erik Ten Hag outist, right? But then on the other side, I agree with you. There are people in the other aisle who are so hell bent on supporting Erik Ten Hag that they will ignore the rut that we're in. They refuse to also acknowledge that we are bad. They almost accept that this is some people have said, I'll accept sixth and a cup. And I'm just like, huh? This can't be us. So there are Matata, I'm just saying again, I want to repeat. There are people, a handful. See, I've got the hand out. Handful of people who really on either extreme, one thinks that it I understand loving Erik, but to what detriment? And I understand hating Erik, but again, to what end? Because the common denominator in that argument is Erik, and Erik is going to leave, guys. Is my point, right? That's the concluding point. Erik is going to leave, whether it's by mutual consent or him being fired, right? But it shouldn't stop you as a United fan from supporting your boys on the pitch, because time is linear. So our feelings towards the club and this manager doesn't change the fact that there are still games that need to be played this season. Does that make sense? Like, life is going to move on irrespective of our feelings. And my plea, because I don't like losing, I'm gonna keep repeating that I hate losing. I'm a sore loser. I'm competitive. So even though I don't like the idea or notion that Erik is the manager, I still want to win against Brentford. I still want to win against Chelsea and Leicester City and Fenerbahce. I still want to win. I don't give a damn if it's because Erik is the one doing the winning. I want to win. I need to win. I'm thirst. I thirst for the win. I I want to be successful. Okay, but again, like Drake said earlier, if the reality flips and he keeps digging a hole, I don't have to do anything. He will get fired. He will get himself fired. Um, my brother, I want you to believe. Oh, sister, I don't know. Let me not assume. I want you to believe that me and you are saying one and the same thing. Maybe I'm saying it differently, and maybe I'm saying it in a way that is not the right way to you. I do think that there needs to be a middle ground. That's why I'm saying sometimes we need to learn how to take your feelings of Erik, put them here, right? Because the game against Brentford is going to happen irrespective of him being fired or not. That's what I'm saying, right? So the game is going to happen. I'm still not happy with this guy. But going into Brentford, because the question, let me just remove this, right? Or the statement was, as we look forward to the game between Man United and Brentford at home, what do we want to see during that game? And me, it's a W. That's what I want to see. And let me see what you're saying here. Vegeta, as Stephanie said, the players aren't embarrassing yet. Then how come we can keep supporting the players? Okay, look, that's a fair question, but I'm like, who's playing the game on Saturday though? So my question to you then, Matata, and maybe I'll just leave you with this thought. I'm not gonna try to convince you. Yes, these players, we've got a viewpoint of them, but who's playing the game against Brentford? And what does not supporting them do for the result of the game? Right? Let me put the ball back into your court. What does not supporting the club do for the result? Because the same players that we are angry at, and I say we because I also feel the same way. And I will be here. Don't worry, this is episode 1. We're gonna talk about this club and its players and the controversies and the news and the good news and the good times. We're gonna talk about all of it. But my point that I'm trying to make with this whole thing is Erik is gonna manage Erik is going to manage the team on Saturday. These players are going to play. So what does mean not supporting them on in that game do for the result? Because I still want a positive result. And the only positive result I'm willing to accept is a W and goals. Because I don't want a negative goal difference. I don't want to be bantered. And I want to celebrate. That's what the next therapy session needs to look like for me. Big up to you, my brother, football fan zone. Guys, be sure to look out for the next episode of the Banks and Vegeta show. Now that I've gotten over my flu, I will arrange with Mr. Banks, and we will be dropping that episode soon. I will again try to repost the previous episode just so you can catch up on that before we move into the next episode. But shout out to you, my brother. And guys, hopefully you guys can keep me accountable. This is the first, hopefully not the last episode this week. So like I said, it's not going to be a weekly thing. I want to make these podcasts um almost a daily thing if I can achieve it. So this has been it's been the first episode, people, and it's been, I think it's been a good conversation, and hopefully next time I get to open the lines, we get to speak in real time. I would really love to get to know some of the fans that are here with me during the early days. I would like to hear a lot of new voices come on board. It's going to be an exciting journey, guys, and I'm trying to reach 100 people. Heck, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I think we can do it. I think we can do it. I just need to be consistent, which is what I hope you guys will keep me accountable to. But guys, listen, fantastic show. Thank you for the engagement. Stephanie, you are a rock star. You are the goat of moderators, always showing support, counting the likes. Appreciate everybody who's liked the video today. I think we've actually hit a personal record with the channel with the amount of likes we've had today. So appreciate the support. I haven't checked the subscriber count. I would appreciate new subscribers if you are new to the platform. Share this video out, guys. Let's have these conversations. Let's not hide away. Let's not shut people's opinions down. People have the right to say what they're saying, irrespective of whether we agree with them or not. But, guys, look, it's been your host. It's been the first episode of the therapy podcast with me, Vegeta Sama. And look, you know what? South Africa's been making me proud. So it was a good international from that perspective. Like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one, people. And look, I know sometimes football will kill us, but there is light always at the end of a tunnel. Peace out, people.